And there you go. We on, guys. We are on. It's a go. So today, guys, yeah. So today, guys, we're gonna be discussing everything crypto, all you can eat crypto. It's your boy Joey FC, aka J Joe, aka CEO of Cointickleite. And today we're gonna be talking about how did we call the top? How did we know it was the top? Because we've been getting a lot of questions in. This is like the second time we've called the Bitcoin top, and people want to know what kind of metrics are you using? What kind of indicators are you using to be able to predict this so accurately? And you know it's accurate because let's go to, bear with me, guys. You know it's accurate because when you go to Bitcoin and you cycle in, apologies for my drawing, and you cycle in the drawings, and you can see the top was in about October 2025. That's when the top was about. So Bitcoin's top was about October 2025. And if you was to go to the article Cointickleite printed, this was the warning talking about we are at the top or roundabout near the top. Let's find that article. One from October. And there you go. This was the first sound of the warning. Is Bitcoin headed for a major crash according to a time-tested indicator? And you can see this was in October 2025. To remind you again, where was the top? October 2025. We were sitting around 126,000 USDT in terms of Bitcoin's worth. And you can see with the article, it was written October 2025. Also with the same phrase around, is Bitcoin headed for a major crash? Now, also, to confirm that crash and to see how accurate Cointickleite has been with this, we can see, let's find the next article, because this next article gives you a proper prediction. Not this one, but in around again, October 2025, this was the top of Bitcoin. Let's not forget this. This was the top of Bitcoin, October 25. Another article, October 2025. What does it say? This is why your entry and stop loss are my TP. This is why your entry and your stop loss are my take profit. So how does the article know this? How did Cointickleite articulate this? It says the bullish fever is easy to spot. Scroll through X today and you will see it. Robert declares Ethereum at $4,000 will make buyers rich. A no new tariff truce between Trump and X floods the feeds with optimism that crypto benefits the most. So pay attention to this bit. Yeah, this is key. This is key. Across years of data, a hidden pattern repeats itself. When everyone is bullish, the market is already overextended. Should I say that again? When everyone is bullish, the market is already overextended. Obviously, there are other confluences to add to this, but pay attention, see. The social media euphoria spikes after large price surges, and by the time bullish posts dominate the feed, whales are already positioned to sell. Absolute spot on, absolute true. Institutions and high volume traders use the wave of enthusiasm as exit liquidity, quietly distributing their holdings. So basically what that's saying in other words is, by the time you're getting bullish, by the time it's coming across your X feed, by the time it's coming across your YouTube feed, your TikTok feed, guess what? The move's already done. The move's already done. Because these moves are done behind the corridors. This moves are done behind the scenes of light. These moves are done not even in the Reddit trends. These moves are done in the Discord. These moves are done in the Telegram charts. Only a few, a preview to what's actually happening behind the scenes. And by the time it hits your proper social media feeds like YouTube and TikTok and X, guess what? It's done. So by the time humans are buying, because you can see everyone's bullish, do you know what smart money is doing? Smart money is exiting. Smart money is using your buy as a liquidity exit. And that's the bitter truth. I've been in this game long enough to know how it goes. And that's why in the last 2 cycles, we were able to predict the top. And we also were able to predict the bottom. See, the dynamic explains why, for smart money, retail's entry is their profit. Exactly what we just spoke about. When retail traders enter a euphorious peak, chasing headlines and influencer confidence, their stop loss become the liquidity that fuels smart money's exit. It's a strategy based on understanding the truth. Guess what? The crowd is never early. It's right there in the article. The crowd's never early. Obviously, when you merge this with other confluences, it's so easy to predict the top. Guys, predicting the top in crypto is the easiest thing if you understand the strategy behind it. If you understand the strategy behind it, predicting the top, it's easy. Now pay attention to this bit, yep. In each historical case, the specific trigger for the fall was different. A Fed comment, a liquidation wave, or a simple exhaustion. This brings us to the final lesson. We never know what specific event will spark the next correction. It could be a policy shift, a liquidity crunch, or no news at all. The catalyst is unpredictable and ultimately irrelevant. We don't need to predict the catalyst because the pattern is recognizable. Every cycle ends the same way social sentiment peaks. The fear and greed index hits extreme greed, which happened in 2025 in October. And social media becomes an echo chamber for certainty. So now you're getting people who were never into crypto. Suddenly, they're so certain that crypto is taking off. These are the signs. Crypto doesn't crash because of one event. It crashes because optimism gets priced in and then exhausted. We don't know what will be the catalyst to bring the market down, but we know it's likely going down. That certainty comes from pattern recognition. You know, so we printed this out in October 2025. The Bitcoin talk was in October 2025. We printed a few articles, not just one article, in the same month, letting humans know this is the top. Start preparing and DCAing out. We started to DCA out here at Cointickle. So when you see people like my man, who's never been in crypto, who's always been saying crypto is a scam, all of a sudden calling for a massive Bitcoin price, you know you're near the top, brothers. Literally, you know. So Cointickle just didn't give you this article. We even went further. And gave you an actual price of where we were heading to. That's mad. And I'll show you that in this article. So Cointickle went further and said, no one should be thinking about going up until we have hit this max, which is a 48,000 Bitcoin. Bear in mind, we were sitting over 100K at the time this article was written. And it says, no one should be thinking about what? About buying until we've hit a 48,000 Bitcoin. So can you imagine the balls Cointicolet had to write this when Bitcoin was sitting over 100K and people were calling for $300,000 Bitcoin, and all of a sudden you have a news article like Cointicolet saying, hang on guys, pipe down, pipe low, we're going to 48,000. We remember the faces, we remember the comments people made. Like this people don't know what they're saying. And we've been on projection since then. We've been on trajectory. We recently hit 58 or 59,000, which means we are technically about 9,000 off the prediction price. If it only hits that 59,000, I think our work here is done. Because to predict that with absolute certainty is mad. From over 100,000, we predicted that was the reversal, and we were going to 48,000, and so far we've hit 58. And the more we kept dropping, the more other influencers kept saying, you know what, this is just a short-term bearish move, and the sentiment is still up, and everyone was still buying to go in. But smart money was using their buys as liquidity. Now, what made this article come out? See, it says, despite recurring optimism in headlines across social media, crypto markets continue to demonstrate that sellers dominate price action. At Cointicolet, our analysis points to Bitcoin testing 48,000 and Solana re-evaluating towards 95. Levels grounded not in fear, but in the market structural dynamics and liquidity distribution. Already, Solana's prediction has come true and surpassed it easily. Already, Solana's prediction has come true and surpassed it easily. Easily. You know? Even seasonal patterns that historically favor crypto bulls have broken down. We gave you guys the warning. Q4 typically, a period of strength, has seen price underperformance across Bitcoin and major altcoins, underscoring the structural dominance of sellers. So, we predicted in October 2025 with a different article that was the reversal when Bitcoin was sitting at 126K. We then had a follow-up article to say sellers are now in charge. We then gave you another article that tells you we're not going up until we've tested this 48,000 levels. And so far, guys, where are we with Bitcoin? Where are we? Hold on a minute. Where are we with Bitcoin? We're so far sitting on 63,000. What have we tested? We've tested 57,000, which means 48 is not too far. That would be the next leg drop. That would be the next leg drop. So you can consider a lot of sideways movements, and boom, we're going straight to the next leg drop. Guys, this thing is not rocket science. It's because we've been in the game for so long. We recognize patterns without even looking for these patterns. For example, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen when Trump got into office? Taking, giving out 50% tariff punishments here and there. What did you think was going to happen? We even said that in the article. As the president and the leader of the free world, you can't just stamp tariff on different countries as you see fit. You can't just wake up at 3 a.m. and tweet and say you're stamping 50% tariff on China, and somehow some inside traders were able to capitalize an hour before the announcement. Investors are just going to think something's off here. Let's withdraw our funds and sit on the sidelines and wait and see this and see what's happening. And we said in the article that Investors have decided to sit out the orange man, his administration. That's what the article said. The investors have decided to sit out the orange man. These things are not rocket science to predict. So when you think about the whole macro economics of what's going on, and then you use the power of the charts and other confluences, you can pinpoint where prices are most likely going to test. You know, these things are not rocket science. They're not rocket science at all, you know. So it's one of my best work, you know, because the last 2 cycles, we predicted this whole moves, but it wasn't on paper, you see. We predicted this whole moves, but we didn't have it on paper. So when we say it, people just say, oh, you're just charting. But this time, we decided we're going to have this printed out and time-stamped so you could see it for yourself, you know. Yeah. Moving on anyways, let's see what is happening on the markets today. Let's see what coins in the last 1 hour. Let's see what's happening. Nothing is sticking out, nothing is standing out. Let's see what Elliott Trades have got to say.
Doing something almost unthinkable, which is talking about altcoins that I'm going to be buying. But it's not that simple. This is a longer term strategy, and it's based on a very rare risk-reward setup that we only get once every 4 years here in crypto land. Now, before I do this, it's time that we acknowledge the truth. Last cycle was like an episode of Jackass. The president of the United States rugged us. The Haktua girl rugged us. The president of Argentina rugged.
You know what's interesting? Now they're saying these things in hindsight about the president of the United States rugged us. But my guy, Elliot, you were among the influencers that were saying, now that we've got Trump in office, crypto's going to the moon. He was among the people. When Cointiculate was saying, calm down, Trump cannot be trusted because of his erratic behaviors. Markets do not like that. Markets like a system that can be predicted. Markets do not like erratic tweets at 3 a.m. Cointiculate was saying all these, but majority of the influencers were saying Trump is taking us to the moon. Crypto Manran included as well. Trump is taking us to the moon. Karl Marx, moon, whatever. Trump is taking us to the moon. Elliott Trades, Trump is taking us to the moon. You only find a handful, few, of people who are not caught up within this madness. People who can reason outside the box. People who can think outside the box. People who can critique what's actually happening. People who can critique like the current situation. Not because they're trying to sell you some 9 altcoins that are going to the moon. And that's where we come in. We're independent. We've got no bias. We call it as we see it. And so far, I think we're doing a great job. Here at Cointiculate, I think we're doing a great job. Because how could it be that when 99.9% of the influencers within the space are saying we are going to 300,000 Bitcoin, only Cointiculate said, no, we're going to 48,000. And behold, we're here now. You know? Behold, we here. So no, we don't want to listen to what you have to say. Because even at the time Bitcoin started to go down, let's say from 126, let's say to about 105, they were still saying, yeah, it's just a minor hiccup on the way. We're still going to 300K. Cointiculate was like, nah, we're going to 48. Even when we went down to 98, they're like, yeah, you can see on the MACD and the this, that we're still on an uptrend. Cointiculate said, nah, the reversal is already occurred and it's been confirmed. We're heading downwards. So yeah, so we don't want to listen to you, Elliott Trades. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We don't want to hear what Crypto Banter has to say, because all of you keep giving false narratives. The only people you should be listening to is Cointickle. And even at that, you should not be taking my word as law. You know what I mean? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just presenting the facts. You should be able to make your own independent conclusion. You know what I mean? You should take different theories and think independently for yourself. Digest information. And while digesting information, you should restrain yourself from always thinking about how do you put it? Is it lucky dip kind of trades? You should remove fiction from reality. Okay, guys. So now this is another thing I would like to bring to your attention. Let's see if Chico Crypto is still. Let's see if Chico Crypto is. So for those of you who know this dude, this is Chico Crypto. He's been in the game like almost since day one. I would say he's been in the game since the time I was in the game. You know, honestly, he's been in the game long. I've been in the game long. I've been in the game behind the scenes, like I've just personal. I just observe and whatever. You know what I mean? I've been in the game since the days of pre-alpha bay, pre-evolution. Those who know. I'm talking about the days where we didn't have exchanges as sophisticated as we have now. In order to purchase crypto, we used to use some certain. I'm talking about the days before Binance. In order to purchase crypto, we literally had to like speak with the people one-on-one. We met in the forums, speak with the people one-on-one, send the money to their personal bank account, they receive it, and then we started to improve exchanges, little exchanges started to come through, you know what I mean? But we've come a long way. I'm just telling you how far back I've been in the game, and that's why it's so easy to predict what's going on, you know what I mean? Because I've been in the game. Don't ask me why I was buying crypto in those days. I needed to pay for something. You could only pay with Bitcoin. And then we had Ethereum. And I was one of those people who got the Bitcoin Fox, where they gave me Bitcoin Cash. I didn't even know what Bitcoin was, but I had Bitcoin. I came into my wallet one day, I had Bitcoin Cash. I'm thinking, what's this? And then all of a sudden I said, why is the price going up and down? I don't get it. This was back in the day. I'm talking early days of Bitcoin, inception days. So we just, how do we put it? We are OGs. We don't need to be drawing trend lines. We know what's going on. We can feel it. You know, may the force be with you. Like we can feel the force. You know what I mean? That's why we can predict we're going to 48K. We don't need to give you any rationale. But yeah, we still did give you a ration for why. So, but anyways, back to what I want to show you about crypto. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to enlighten you, to inform you that Bitcoin or crypto, whatever it is that you're trading, is very volatile. And sometimes you can get scammed without knowing you've been scammed. Now people are thinking, he's got Chico Crypto's thing up there. Chico Crypto's no scammer, da 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 da. I didn't say he was a scammer, did I? He's actually one of the very few good influencers. But himself has been scammed. Yes, Chico Crypto's been scammed. And people are thinking, how do you know? So for those of you who don't know, Chico is one of those guys. I think his name is Tyler. He's one of those guys who literally only promotes a certain type of cryptos. So he only promotes Bitcoin, he only promotes Ethereum, and a few other cryptos, including Polkadot and the Polkadot ecosystem. These are the only projects he mainly promotes. Obviously, every now and then he'll promote one or two flops, you get. But I think Chico, due to his personality and how he thinks a lot of things are scams, I think he's lost a lot of money. You know, that's what we think. I think he's lost a lot of money a kind of amount of money that could depress you and even make you suicidal, you know, because he only promotes a handful of tokens. And some of these tokens are just Ethereum based tokens or the Polkadot tokens, you know what I mean? And as a result of that, he lost out on Matic because he was basically calling Matic a scam. Yeah, I think it's called Polygon now, for those of you who were not here during the time they had a name change. Yeah, Polygon was known as Matic. And Matic, I got into Matic in the 0.00 crazy numbers. I got into Matic in the 0.00 crazy numbers. That at the time I got into Matic, if you just bought, I'm giving you an equivalent, if you just bought, let's say, $100 of Matic and sold it at the time that I sold it, you probably would have made 100K. It's mad. Yeah, you probably would have made 100K from $100 at the time that I got into Matic. But a lot of people failed to get into Matic because a lot of people were listening to Chico Crypto, and usually he has good advices. Like, he's one of the best in the game, you see, and that's why you must do your own due diligence, because Tyler is one of the best in the game, but he couldn't see the potential that Matic had. And I usually didn't used to buy tokens unless I listened to, you know, in those days, like, even though I had my own analysis, but I'll pay attention to what he said. And sometimes it sways my judgments when I'm purchasing some of these tokens. So the point I'm trying to make is, he didn't get into Matic, so he lost a lot of money there. I got into Matic. It was a life-changing, it was a life-changing event for me. It was a life-changing opportunity, you know. So also, he was busy promoting the Polkadot ecosystem. Understandably, I get it, because what's his name? The dude in charge of the whole program is a dude called Gavin Wood. I think he went to University of York, just down the road from where I did my master's at the University of Leeds. So and he is one of the co-founders with Vitalik at Ethereum, and also with Charles. I never know how to pronounce his surname. Hopkinson. Yeah. So these three are one of the co-founders. Let's see what Gavin Wood. Yeah, that's what he looks like, Gavin Wood. You know. So you've got Gavin Wood. You've got Charles, the Cardano guy who everybody knows, and then you've got Vitalik. These three were the co-founders of Ethereum. Eventually, them two went their own ways to go do their own thing. Charles obviously started the Cardano Foundation. Gavin Wood went and started his own thing. But the point I'm trying to make here is, within the space, a lot of people know Charles to be more like of a slimy, scammer kind of person. So they didn't really give Cardano a chance, because people don't trust Charles that much. You know, they see him as a slimy dude. However, they equate my man, Gavin Wood, to the same status as Vitalik of Ethereum. And that's why, in my opinion, this dude pulled the biggest rug pull in crypto that no one talks about today, because he's so smart that people still don't realize this is the biggest rug pull in the space. Because it's British. And you know, when a Brit can scam you without you realizing you've been scammed. Americans, take notes. The world, take note. A Brit can scam you so well that you don't realize you've been scammed. You know, because everything aligns, all the policies, everything's aligned. They scam you in alliance with the policies. And why do I say this is probably one of the biggest scams of all? Why do I say that? Because if we go to his token called Kusama. Now, every token obviously pumps and dumps, but You need to follow me with this story, guys. If you go to Kusama, you would see, I think it's trading at about $2 now. But I remember people were buying Kusama at $500. I remember, and at the time they were still telling people buy, buy, buy. You know, so if we go all the way to the top, you can see that's not the top. Let's remove the drawings. If you go all the way to the top, you would see that Kusama even traded just above $600 right here at the top. Just above $600 Kusama traded above. Now what's it trading at now? $2. Just a few dollars of the $3 mark. But to have gone from 600 and above to be trading at $2, and no one is still raising an eyebrow, no one is still saying this project is a suspect, it shows that this is what you call an intelligent rug pull. Because everyone's too busy talking about the FTX scam. But in my opinion, this has got to be a bigger scam than the FTX. This has got to be a bigger scam than the FTX. Why? Because at the time, Kusama was trading at these levels, just under the 500 mark levels. Gavin Wood came up with this ingenious plan. And what was the plan? Everyone, lock up your KSM, lock up your DOT and some other tokens from the ecosystem. Everyone, lock it up for 2 years. And your returns would be great. That was the narrative. And who pushed this narrative hard? Chico Crypto. Lock up your DOTs, they say. Lock up your KSM, they say. Buy more. It's a one in a lifetime opportunity. So people were locking up at these levels. People were locking up at these levels, you know? People were locking up at these levels. Now, what do you notice here? What do you notice here? Look at this. People were looking up at this level. Look at this red. Look at this red. From just under $600 to $196. This isn't the public selling. This was an institutional sellout. This was an institutional sellout. This was an institutional exit. So while people are busy worrying about FTX, this, to me, is the most intelligent scheme of them all. And yet no one talks about it as a scam. No one's ever saying, oh, Gavin Wood rug pulled us. Because why? He's not seen as that type of guy. But this, come on guys. And then obviously, people bought it up quick. And what do you know is again another institutional dump. Boom! And that's it. Now, this is just the chat doing its thing. Now, this is just this chat doing its thing. You know? So to Gavin Wood, my guy from down the road, University of York. I went to University of Leeds, both in Yorkshire. I see you. I see what you've done there. But people worried about FTX. They said lock up your tokens. They gave incentives that they knew could not be fulfilled. They give promises. Lock up your tokens, they say. Lock it up. And while your tokens are locked up, guess what they can easily do? Use your tokens as liquidity exits. And did they do that? You bet your ass they did. You could take that to the freaking bank. They did. Just took you out. Now, by the time those people's tokens were due to be unlocked, so just think about this. People locked up their tokens in these levels. Yeah? Let's say some people even bought in these levels. About $400. By the time their token was ripe to be unlocked, guess what? It's sitting on like $40. Otero, their money is gone. So this is why you must do your due diligence. Just don't take people's word at it. Just do not look at the face value. Just don't look at the history. Oh, he created Ethereum with the dude from what's his name again? Vitalik. Oh, he created Ethereum with Vitalik. He must be genuine. A lot of these people just want your money. And I'm sure we're going to see him again in some new projects. You know, rinse and repeat. I'm sure we're going to see him again in a new project. It's going to be a new name. Polkadot 2.0. Polkadot reloaded. And then they'll talk about, oh yeah, it went wrong here. But we've been able to address all the issues that we had. So now this is bulletproof. Blah, 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 blah. The same thing's going to repeat. Nothing's new under the sun, guys. There's absolutely nothing that is new under the sun. We've seen this play before, and you see it again. You just need to wise up. You know what I mean? You need to be the one taking liquidity, not the one giving liquidity. Okay? You need to be early. It doesn't matter how far a coin has run. Once that coin's run, leave it. Find a new coin. Because if it's run, it's run. Like I told you what happens. People, if it's run, it's run. People, if you're not buying in and around this area, after this run, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. After this major run, you need to be careful. You know? So yeah, guys. Just for I bring this to your attention, because a lot of people talk about all the other scams, Celsius and whatever, but they forget this ingenious plays. Look, from $628 to be trading at under $3. And this is where I think Chico Crypto lost a lot of money. Because Chico Crypto was a believer in Gavin Wood. He believed in Polkadots. He believed in Kusama. And as a result, he was holding a lot of them tokens. So he got caught holding the dump. He got caught holding the bag. And that's why I believe he's not been the same since then. We hardly see him. It's difficult to recover from. How do you recover from something like that? How do you recover from buying in around these areas, 400, looking at your portfolio at once, and your portfolio was like at $600 per token, and you're holding thousands of those tokens, and boom! Now your token, each token is $3. You can't recover from that. So he was holding a lot of those bags. Gavin Wood did him up he thought, he's Brits. He's not one of those types. He's got a lovely English accent. He can't be a scammer. The Brits would scam you with a lovely accent. You wouldn't even know you've been scammed. Until you check your bank account, you're like, hang on a minute. What's going on here? Yeah, here at Cointiculate, we're not trying to, this is an observation. For all we know, this could all be false. For all we know, this could be all be false. But remember, we called the Bitcoin top and said, we're not going nowhere until we get to 48K. We called the Bitcoin top from 126K. So at least I think we know or have an idea of what we're discussing out here. You know what I mean? So the moral of the story is, you cannot trust people just based on the fact that they've worked on a major big project in the past. Because a lot of people trusted Gavin Wood based on that he's a technical computer wizard. He worked with Vitalik Buterin or whatever his name is at Ethereum, and they trusted him. And the Cardano that they were looking as the dude who could beat the scam ends up being a real project, even though it's not on a great level. But Cardano hasn't done this. Cardano hasn't done this. Let's put it back in perspective so you can see it very well. Cardano has not done this. Sitting from just over $600 to be trading at under $3, and no one still thinks this is a scam. It's an intellectual scheme. I watched it play out in real time. That's why I know exactly what happened. I watched it play out in real time. I watched when the influencers got in, crypto banters, the Aerial Trades, the Chico Cryptos, all the heavyweights. Lock up your coins. That's what they said. Lock up your coins. All in the name of staking. Now some people locked up over 500, over half a milli. People locked up over half a milli. I remember going through the list. I was just watching. I was like, are these people normal? I was like, because you can see everything. Everything's on blockchain. The transparency of blockchain is second to none. It's like, this idiot locked up half a milli. This other idiot locked up 300K. I'm thinking, what's going on here? They said lock it up for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years. I'm like, huh? Now imagine someone who locked up half a milli and could not unlock it until the time is due to unlock. And then by the time their things become due to be unlocked, that half a milli is now worth $100. How are you not going to get depressed? And that's why I feel for Chico Crypto, because I know he was heavily invested. When Solana came out, he refused to buy. He was like, I'm not buying Solana. I'm into Polkadot. I'm into just Ethereum, just these people. Can you imagine the Cardano he was calling a scam, the Charles Hoskins since he was calling a scam? If he just bought the Cardano, he would not be where he's at today. He would not be crying. Gavin Wood has done him up. Gavin Wood has given him wood. No jokes, guys. No jokes. Jokes aside. Gavin Wood didn't give him wood. But I think he was heavily invested. And I think he lost a lot of money. And as you can see, even the best of the best can get blindsided and get caught out. Yeah. That's why you must research. Even when you think you know what you're doing, research some more. Because everyone's out to do you up. Everyone's out to get you. Within this crypto space, they're out to get you. They have Telegram chats where they, those in the know, they know. They've already positioned themselves. By the time the token is trading, they're still acquiring some more. They intentionally do it until they've acquired as much as they want before they bring publicity to it. They keep it, no one can see it. Now, by the time they're ready to start selling out and start cashing out, that's when you start to see it on YouTube. That's when you start to see it on Twitter. or X as it's called right now. That's the game, guys. That's how this, unfortunately, that's just how it works. Okay? Well, I think we're going to leave it here. We don't want to extend ourselves on this. I think this so far was a good stream. I hope I've brought some sort of knowledge to you all. I'm not telling you to buy anything from me. No. I'm just telling you, follow Cointiculate, read the articles, just so that you'll be informed. Okay? And read other articles before you make a decision. Okay, guys? Because even me, myself, can get it wrong. Yes, I brag that I hold the top, but I could also get it wrong. Anyone can get it wrong. However, there are some bad actors who are purposefully, intentionally just trying to sabotage you, make you hold the bag. And that's why before you let some of that your hard earnings go into some of these tokens, you owe it to yourself. You owe a duty to that money. You owe a duty to that hard work to think and do the research before you let that money go. Because if it's gone, it's gone. There's no coming back to it. This is not where you go to the bank and you say to them, I've been scammed, and then the bank would try to recover your money. There's none of that here in crypto. We don't have that in this space, okay? Some people didn't know FTX could collapse. FTX collapsed. A lot of people's money was still stuck in the exchange. And that's why I'm preaching for decentralized exchanges. That's why I'm happy with exchanges like Hyperliquid and Radium. A lot of you are still sleeping on Radium. Radium is a proper exchange. Radium it's built on Solana and it's time tested. A lot of you are sleeping on Radium. Radium would change people's lives because it's trading at a fraction of almost nothing. When you compare it to Hyperliquid and compare the market cap and compare the tokens that have been minted, you can see there is value in Radium. But that's another video for another day. That's another video for another day, guys. Until we meet